If you're intrigued about open water swimming and don't know where to start, or maybe scared of taking the plunge, well, we have got 6 tips before your first open water swim.
Firstly, the kit you use can make a huge difference. Now, this doesn't mean heading out, breaking the bank and buying all the latest and greatest kit available, but having kit that's suitable for the conditions will help you massively. Now, if you are embarking on a slightly cooler temperature water swim, then we would highly recommend wearing a wetsuit, not just for the added warmth, but also for added buoyancy, which will in turn increase your confidence in the water.
Yeah, and you might not be ready to go and buy a brand new wetsuit for your very first open water swim, and that's understandable, but if you go to your local dealer or quite often open water swimming venue, they'll actually have wetsuits that you can hire to get a feel. But if, say, at home you've got an old sailing or a surfing wetsuit, you can use that for your first attempt. Obviously, it's not designed for swimming, so it's going to be quite restrictive around the shoulders, but it'll at least give you an idea of what open water swimming is like. And then if you do want to borrow one, whatever you're going for, just make sure you've got the right fit, because if it's too small, it can feel really restrictive and actually make it feel hard to breathe. And on the other end of the spectrum, if you've got one that's too large, it ends up being a little bit like a net and just slowing you down.
Yeah, now regardless of the conditions, it's actually really good practice to swim with something like this, which is a swim buoy, tow float, whatever you want to call it, just so that people can see you from a distance, or particularly if you are swimming alone or in the sea. Another thing on that sort of vein of thought is actually swimming with a brightly coloured hat like this one, again, so that people can see you from a distance really clearly. And your goggles. Now, you want to be able to see well in the water, so getting a good set of goggles will make a massive difference, so you can see everything, you can sight those buoys. If your goggles fog up or they're a little bit worse for wear, we'd highly recommend getting yourself a new set to make the whole experience a little bit more pleasurable.
If you're watching this video, then I'm guessing you are probably feeling a little bit apprehensive ahead of your first open water swim, and that is completely normal. So don't be surprised if you do experience maybe a little bit of shock or panic even when you get into the water for the first time, because after all, you're getting into some new, unknown area, a vast area, and also it's probably going to be a little bit colder than what you're used to.
Yeah, now our advice on this would be to gradually get yourself into the water. I actually suggest just splashing a little bit of water at yourself whilst you're on dry land, particularly onto the face. Also, dip your hands into the water, allow them a little bit of time to adjust, and then if you can, just ease yourself into the water or walk yourself into the water and try and pause at waist height if that's possible. Again, just allow yourself time to collect yourself, get used to that temperature, and then progress a little bit further until you're fully submerging and getting your head under.
And if you do start to feel a little bit of a panic when you've got your head under, then just turn back over onto your back and control your breathing. So you've got your head above water, you can just start to relax. And once you've got that breathing back under control, then flip back over and have another go. Common mistake you often see when people come into open water is, because there are no walls like you have in a swimming pool, just getting in and swimming continuously. But it's okay to take breaks, relax, and actually break it up. So think about it like a swimming session, and something that I quite often do is actually do one lap easy as a warm-up, take a rest, and then go ahead with the main set.
Well, the main differences we have when we compare pool swimming to open water swimming is that we need to sight in the open water to make sure that we're staying on track. Now, if we're following a pre-planned course or a set of buoys in the water, we want to be taking the most direct line to that buoy, rather than maybe deviating out of course and potentially swimming further than we need to. Now, pretty much everyone, if they put their head down in the water and just swim normally, will drift ever so slightly off course. So we want to make sure that we're sighting from time to time, and this should be somewhere in the region of every 5 to 10 strokes. And if you're entering yourself in for a race, make sure you know the layout of that course, how many buoys you need to pass before you take a turn, and also the colour of the buoys is quite important. Now, in terms of the sighting itself, make sure we're not lifting our head out too much. Rather, it should just be your eyes, and then you continue to breathe to the side as you normally would. If you lift your whole head out with your mouth and take a breath to the front as you sight, you risk your feet dropping down and making your swim quite a lot harder. But for a bit more detail on that, we'll be throwing to a video at the end which explains this a bit more thoroughly.
As we've mentioned racing, we probably should talk about positioning, and when it comes to an event, there's probably going to be lots of other people around you and it can be slightly unnerving. So it's best not to position yourself right in the middle amongst everybody. If you are new or a little bit nervous with open water racing, then it's a good idea to head to the outside of the pack, or maybe hang towards the back where you're going to find some clearer water. But when it comes to really big events, even if you do make sure you space yourself nicely, you're probably still going to clash arms with somebody. But just remember that they're probably equally as nervous as you are, and they're not going to be doing it intentionally. So just try and stay calm and focus on your own race and concentrate on keeping your stroke nice and smooth.
Finally, drafting. Now, admittedly, this is a pretty advanced skill, but it may be something that you want to build up to or work towards as you build your confidence in the water. And it's pretty much like drafting on the bike, really. When we draft in the water, we sit directly behind someone or directly beside their hip, and we get a bit of a tow. So this could save ourselves energy when we're in the water, or alternatively, we can work at the same rate, latch onto a slightly faster swimmer and get around the swim a bit faster. Now, it can take a bit of time to master this skill, so we recommend just practicing with a training partner, getting closer and closer. When we're drafting on the feet, you want to almost be brushing their toes with your fingertips. When we're on the hip, your head should almost be around their pelvis or hip height. Basically, we're trying to surf their wake. And then in terms of how close we are to them, your arms should more or less be brushing their thigh as you pull through. Well, the most important thing with all of this is that you enjoy it. Remember that the reason that you embarked upon all of this in the first place was to have fun. So try not to get too carried away with times, paces, places, especially if you are getting stuck into a race as well. Yeah, 100%. Well, if you've enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up. And to make sure you get all of our videos at Global Triathlon Network, then just find the globe on screen. If you like the look of these swim caps, we've actually got them in 3 different bright colours, perfect for open water swimming, or you can find those by just clicking on the link for the shop. And we've got a video on 9 open water swimming tips just down here. Yeah, and if you'd like to look at how you can increase your confidence in the water, then we've got a video on that just down here.